invited Anna today. She's a psychologist specialized on emotional eating and binge eating. And she's gonna kind of solve this problem for us. And I'm gonna ask her questions around it. What is a healthy habit around food and what is toxic? And actually, how can we leave the guilty feelings and actually tap into the best version of ourselves without feeling guilty or toxic? So feel free to join now. Feel free to watch the video afterwards. I'm going to save it. And also feel free to comment or share your story. So I'm going to invite Anna now. So if you want, you can send me a request. So, okay. Doing this for the first time, as you can see. Yeah. I actually met Anna a while ago on my journey as a coach. And like, how's it also in different cultures, right? So, yeah. Hello, Anna.
Hi.
So good to see you. You look
Good to see you
amazing.
again. You too.
After 1 year, I'm also happy to see you. So yeah, as I said, you're a psychologist specialized in emotional eating. You're also an amazing female entrepreneur, very successful. You're kind of my personal role model because in your life everything seems so amazing.
Don't
And
overdo it.
of course, I'm overdoing it. I'm so happy you taking the time to be here and helping us. With I think a very, very emotional, important topic. I think we all have been through a diet. We all want to look our best, and there are different challenges. And I know you have a secret method that is like life-changing. Yes, I know. And I'm happy to interview a bit. So, what is your personal story? How did you find the purpose to help people stop emotional eating and binge eating? So how did you get into this situation, this kind of problem solving? Yeah.
So thank you for inviting me. I'm so happy we're doing this. I will try to condense a struggle of 17 years in a couple of minutes. So I basically started dieting at the age of 11, 12, and then hardcore dieting from the age of 14 due to gaining weight in a period of time where it was probably also normal for my body to change, but I never viewed it as a normal thing. So I just kind of realized that I don't like the way I look. I don't look the same. And so I entered in the world of dieting very, very young. Before I was 14. And that kind of gave me a sense of I am trying to control my body, control my weight, control my food. But then on the other hand, I couldn't live like that. So then I switched between binging and dieting for 15 years or whatever. So because of that, I wanted to, once I finished my studies, once I went into therapy, once I kind of did my own personal journey, that I will be working with others, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because it is something that I have lived, not only studied, but I have actually lived the problem for such a long time. So out of that came this idea that I wanted to work with other people. But I also think because, when I was struggling, we're talking like early 90s, like mid 90s, early 2000s, there was no help in that sense that you could talk to a coach. Like you had to go a nutritionist and they would again put me on another diet and then I would fail at the diet. And so it was just like a perpetual cycle of failing. And because of that, I stayed so long because I didn't have the right help that I needed. So yeah, that's why.
Interesting. And so you said emotional eating and binge eating. So how do you as a professional define these two ways that people that are here I can maybe, okay, maybe I can relate with that.
Yeah.
What is that actually?
It's a little bit different because, and also just to clarify, there is nothing wrong if you binge from time to time or if you emotionally eat from time to time. We have all done it. Like, this is fine. The problem is when it becomes your only source of pleasure, distraction, and coping mechanism. Emotional eating means basically that you're eating for the reasons which are not hunger. So you can eat when you're sad, when you're lonely, alone, when you need comfort, for whatever reason, which is not physical hunger, like the sensation that you have in your body, like when you're physically hungry. Binge eating has certain characteristics, and you need to, I will even say, qualify to be a binge eater rather than someone who overeats from time to time. Because a binge eater eats in one sitting a large portion of food, like even like a daily amount of food in one sitting. And they usually eat very fast, without pleasure, without enjoyment. They just want to stuff themselves with as much food as possible to fill in a void. They eat in secrecy. So never in front of other people. They will not do that. And they will also feel a lot of shame and guilt once it's done.
Mm-hmm.
But think of it as overeating is eating more food because it can be like, I don't know, someone made a nice meal and you wanted to eat a little bit more. It happens to everybody. Binge eating is more frequent episodes of eating large portion of food
Mm-hmm.
and feeling almost like you're in a trance. You know what I
Okay,
mean? Like you're
okay.
not really
Interesting.
present. You're like stuffing yourself with food. And then when it's done and you look at everything that you have eaten, you're like, what did I do? And then that's where the guilt and the shame starts. And also
Mm,
finding the solution, which is usually, I'm going to fast from tomorrow. I'm going to go on a cleanse. I'm going to diet to
mm,
rectify the mistake for what I have done the previous day. So that's binge eating. It's a little bit different. It's a little bit more extreme in the way
okay.
how you use food.
So you would say emotional eating is something you're maybe unaware of, so it just happens maybe without awareness, and binge eating is more systematically, like it's
I
really,
mean, both
or
of them can be,
mm,
both of them can be, with binge eating, you are aware a little bit later on, because as I said, in the
okay.
moment, you're not really thinking about what you're doing.
Yeah.
But most people will tell you that they eat when they're nervous. They are just not aware that they are
Mm-hmm.
actually doing it. Like they're
Okay.
not, when they talk about their weight gain, for example, they
Mm,
will tell you that they don't know when it happens, but if you assess their life, you
mm-hmm.
will see that they are binging when they're nervous, when they're stressed, when they're bored, like so
Yeah.
these are emotions that we are trying to fill in or distract ourselves with food. I
Yeah.
think people are aware. It's just that they don't know how else to deal
Mm-hmm.
with those emotions. They're not unaware. They know that they eat when they're
Yeah.
bored in front of the
Mm-hmm.
TV in the evening. But they're like, what else can I do? And that's where the coping mechanism is. Like, what else can you do besides eating or any other, let's say, less healthy, coping mechanism?
Yeah. And that's so interesting because how can we actually, so you said in your journey you had one point where you were trying
Mm-hmm.
everything and then you had a breakthrough where you, okay, I found something that worked for me. And I can really relate to that when you say, okay, when you're eating something out of an emotion and then you feel guilty afterwards.
Yeah.
And kind of growing up in the 90s, you have this perfect images from media. Even being a health coach,
Mm-hmm.
now there's so much out there what you should eat and not eat. Like
Yeah.
every year there's a new thing that's gonna, for sure, all of these foods gonna help you and stuff. But where's the point where you said, okay, I found the method or the way that was actually helping me and not bringing me into again in an overwhelm or a new method that I was trying? And
Yeah.
how did you stop feeling guilty while eating?
So, okay, many things,
I know,
but
I'm
yeah,
sorry.
it's okay. So I
I
would
want to
say
ask like one single question and I went like, but it's so
everything.
big, this topic. Yeah, just,
Yeah, yeah. So I would say like this. If you're doing something over and over again and you expect a different result, we know that that's the definition of insanity. If you have been doing this thing for 15 years, 17 years, and you still expect that the diet will solve your emotional problems, it won't. I had to admit to myself at some point that just another diet, and I have tried every single diet, let's be clear, it will not solve the reasons why I am dieting and binging.
mm-hmm,
The issue with overeating or with binge eating or whatever is that you're not supposed to look at what you have eaten, feel guilty, and bash yourself for it. You're supposed to do the work what has triggered me to overeat, what emotions I was trying to numb. What am I running away from? What am I thinking about myself, about my body? That's the work that I realized that I never focused on. I focused on the physical appearance, the number on the scale, the measurements, the size of my jeans, you know what I mean? Like all the superficial
Yeah.
stuff. And they were validating me as a person who weighs that much or looks like that. And always in fear, will I gain weight if I stop with this crazy diet? So the first thing was to understand this thing that I am doing over and over again, the dieting, will not help me resolve my emotional problems, because like emotional problems needs to be solved in a bit of a different way.
Yeah.
So that was the biggest moment for me. Like, let's stop dieting. Let's focus on what triggers me to overeat. Let's focus on what I'm feeling that I don't want to necessarily feel. Because you know what? Like after I would finish my binge, I would still have this feeling coming up again,
Yeah.
these emotions, these problems. And I was like, okay, so I stuffed myself for nothing. So that was the main realization, that like, I care how I look, but I also care not to repeat the cycle of dieting and binging more. Like, I don't want to be in that cycle ever
Mm.
again. So I stopped dieting. And that was the number one step. And then I did all the kind of more mental work, if you wish, like emotions and mindset and all this stuff. But dieting was number one. It's hard to admit if you have been a professional dieter for 17 years. It's very hard to admit. It's like, you know, like,
Professional
yeah,
diet, yeah, but we all know what you mean.
yeah.
Yeah,
So that was
interesting.
the first thing I did. I quit and never looked back.
And through this awareness, okay, you need to solve the trigger or something in yourself, then also the guilt or the shame slowly went away, or
I mean, the guilt is associated with diet culture. Let's be honest here. Like,
okay.
the only reason why I felt guilty, okay, let's first say you feel guilty when you do something bad.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So if I eat a cookie and I feel guilty, it comes from a notion that I was not supposed to eat a cookie. Where does that come from? It comes from you are on a bloody diet.
Mm.
Diets don't approve cookies and pizza and donuts. So it's like you have rules, and your only job on a diet is to follow the rules of the diet, right? So I would start with my diet, and then I have a cookie, and then I'm like, I failed. That's where the guilt comes in. And that's also where binging comes in, because if the diet tells you that you cannot do something, you do it, the day is ruined. So it's like
Yeah.
you go into this all or nothing thing, like I'm on a diet, off a diet, on plan, off plan, like, and you become this person that, you know, you can either eat clean or it's junk food 24/7. So the guilt comes from not doing something right that was imposed through a meal plan, diet plan, or whatever else I was doing at the time. And the same was with exercise. Like I would exercise 4 hours a day to burn off the calories from the binge. If I didn't exercise exactly 4 hours, it was like, that's pointless, because it has to be 4 hours.
Interesting. And when you start, when you stop dieting and
Yeah.
you really listen to your body, and was it also a natural effect that you were eating more healthy, or was it like still no? Okay.
No, because I mean, when I stopped, I I ate different things. So, for example, I was someone who I was never allowing myself to have anything sweet or no bread, no alcohol, none of those things.
Okay.
So, like everything which is deemed bad by the diet culture, bit by bit, I had to reintroduce those fear foods and you know, let's say also drinks into my life in order to kind of understand that nothing drastic will happen when I have those. So that's why I am not against healthy eating. I'm against hardcore dieting. That like I cannot go out with my friends and have a glass of wine because that contains I don't know what kind of ingredients. It's going to do I don't know what to my body. Do you know what I mean? Like I don't want that. So, but you have to fear. You know, you have to go into the okay. Let me see what will happen. I didn't eat probably a little bit more unhealthier because I was so hungry for
Mm-hmm.
All the foods that I was depriving myself of.
Oh,
When
wow.
because, like what you cannot have and what you restrict, you always want.
Mm-hmm.
If I tell you, Lisa, you cannot have ice cream, you will only think about ice cream.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So if you
Yeah.
have been depriving yourself for decades, then you're like, okay, now I need to make peace that like ice cream will be part of my life, or bread or wine or whatever it is. I will not know all the ingredients when someone is cooking for me, and that's okay.
So what does this restriction do in your mind? So when you in any kind of, for example, I have this also that I'm going through, especially when you're in this spiritual or health community and everyone is like just eating specific things. And I also tried not to eat sugar for a while. And of course, I saw effects, for my health also with specific diseases. I see all the good stuff, but it's very interesting. Like, okay, how can we get to a healthy food lifestyle?
Mm-hmm.
And what is this restriction? Actually, what is the restriction doing in our mind? Like, if I say, okay,
So,
tomorrow,
but you
from
have two
tomorrow
types.
on,
You have,
yeah,
let's put it in quotes that you have two types of restrictions. You
yeah,
can restrict food physically. So you say to yourself,
yeah,
I will not eat ice cream. I don't buy ice cream. I don't eat it.
mm-hmm,
That's one. The other one is mental restrictions. Like I can have ice cream only on the weekend. I can have pasta only if I have a workout. I can have half of a muffin. Those are mental restrictions, where basically it means that you are allowing yourself to have a variety of foods, but under certain conditions and rules. So in
mm-hmm,
both cases, there is not a full permission for you to eat. And the issue with that is that if I say to myself, I cannot have a muffin, I'm pushing away the craving. It doesn't mean that the craving will go away. The fact that you manage to push it away on a Monday doesn't mean that it will not come back on a Wednesday. And at some point, due to stressors, triggers, you're not being able to maintain yourself in this kind of dieting rules, you will give in. And you will have that muffin. And that's where the problem starts. Once you have the muffin, you will feel like you have failed at whatever diet you were on. And then you will have 10 muffins. And then you will convince yourself that you cannot be calm around muffins. No, it's because you have restricted yourself when the craving was happening. You ate 10 as a response to a restriction, and now you're blaming the muffins. It's not the muffins. It's like, or
so
pizza or
interesting.
donuts. It's the fact that you pushed and pushed until you were not able to push anymore. You give in, like something triggered you, whatever, some stressor happened in your life. You are not well, and you gave in and you ate. And then I did that. I would have a box of donuts, and then I will look at the donuts without thinking what I did before, and I would say, this is the proof that I cannot ever have donuts. Because see, I eat 10 of them. I binge on them. But if I'm honest, it's because I did never allow myself to have them. I couldn't stop thinking about whatever it was that I was restricting myself. Whatever you restrict, you will overeat or binge on. Hands down. That's how it works. And that's how dieting works. You will be so
Yeah.
good on your diet without sugar for a while. And I'm not talking about people who have maybe some disease and they need to remove certain foods. That's different. Just
Okay.
like regular population.
Yeah.
You tell yourself you cannot have any sugar. I always say to people, can you live like that for the rest of your life? If you can, kudos to you. But if you want to lose weight and you're like removing things, you have to understand that the way you lost the weight, if you want to keep that weight off, you have to eat like that for the rest of your life. Because, like if you lose weight by not eating
Yeah.
the pastas and the breads and the sweets and no alcohol and no pizza, then my friend, you have to eat like that forever. Do you
Yes.
want to do that? And most people don't. So
Amazing
they lose.
question. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but they lose the
Yeah.
weight. I
I
did
love
that
it.
so many times. You lose the weight and then you're like, now I will eat pizza in moderation.
Yeah.
Never works. You will overeat on pizza because, and this is very important, you haven't learned while you were losing the weight to eat your favorite foods in what we call moderation. You haven't learned that it's actually possible for you, let's say on a weekly basis, if you have 21 meals, more or less, that you can have 18 clean and 3 less clean. and you will
Okay.
still lose weight. We have not been taught that. We have been taught dieting, junk food, on plan, off plan, no
Yeah,
in
it's true.
between, like
Yeah.
where, like it's okay to have pizza and wine with your friends once in a while, and it will not derail you. It will calm your brain and you can move on with your life. So
Mm.
that's why the restrictions cause always, the binge later on.
Very interesting. Yeah, and actually the name of your company is balanced. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's kind of when you pull a restriction, it goes out of balance. It's also reminds me
Yeah, I
quite of
mean,
the
I
yeah.
don't believe in extremes.
Yeah.
I don't believe in, and that's just me, but I don't
Yeah.
believe in this clean eating, especially nowadays where all the foods are made the way they are, but like in general, because I love some processed foods
Mm-hmm.
and I think I'm allowed to have them. And
Mm-hmm.
I also don't believe in also eating only the less nutrient dense and, processed foods as well
Mm-hmm.
all the time and drinking soda every single day. I think that there is a fine balance, like
Mm.
where you can include those fun foods, call them however you want, and then
Yeah.
also be able to be healthy on the side. As I said, like if you have 21 meals, you can make 17, 18 very healthy, whatever that means for people. Then the rest is just, life.
Mm.
Going out, ordering in, someone cooking for you, whatever. Like it's not a big deal, really. But people make it a big deal because they try
Yeah.
to have 21 meals perfect.
Mm.
And then when one slips, it's like it's ruined. It's
It's
like
everything's gone.
everything is ruined.
Yeah, the body's ruined.
The
Yeah.
body is ruined. And then they
My
punish
mind, my body.
themselves.
That's
Yeah,
it.
but then they punish themselves
It's
because you feel
true.
so
It's so
guilty. You
true.
feel so
Mm-hmm.
guilty for not
Yeah.
paying attention and for slipping on the diet. And then you bash yourself like you will never lose weight. You will stay like this, all these things.
Mm.
And as a consequence, a lot of people binge in those moments because they lose faith that they can do it. So it's like, I might as well eat. If
Mm.
this diet thing is not for me, I might as well eat. And, that's like self-sabotage.
That's why I love your approach because it's so honest and it's so human and makes so much sense.
Thank you.
Like we just often think about the how and we're like, okay, I just need the next diet, I need the next expert, I need the easier formula, but how to get there and what it actually does to your brain. And the moments how we struggle when we go on a diet and on and off is something we don't question often. It's more like we question the diet or it was the wrong method, but actually not the way how we get there. And that's why I think it's so relaxing, talking to you about it because I think it's really groundbreaking, this approach. And so two more questions. One question is, what is your advice for us for the New Year's and Christmas time? Like, for example, like what is the normal habits we have, and maybe what's the small advice for us to enjoy Christmas and New Year's without going into these guilty thoughts or the next diet?
I think people go into the holiday season, like there are two types of people,
Mm-hmm.
and both of them should try to change their ways if possible. There is the type of people who are trying to be good and eat clean. And, the moment that they go and have dinner with friends and they don't eat necessarily clean or they overeat, they feel guilty for it, which leads to more binging, and then they start a diet on January 1st. And then there is the other group who already from Thanksgiving started overeating and binging almost like on purpose. And I was in that group. With the idea that these particular foods that I will eat November and December, I can never eat them again. They are foods for Christmas only or for New Year's or these celebrations. So I have to take it all in, like literally all in, eat it, because the scarcity, the dieting starts from January. If I would advise people to do one thing, because they know the cycle, you overeat in December, you gain weight, you start the diet in January, by third week, you're done with the diet. Like that's the statistic.
Yeah.
So I would advise them like this: play a game which is called What If. And the game is super simple. Enjoy your favorite foods, but just ask yourself, what would happen if I had one slice instead of four of the pie?
Mm.
Go into the new year with the notion that most probably you can be the person who will have one instead of four slices. or having one instead of 5 servings or something. Just see, because you are looking, most people are actually looking at themselves during the holiday season as uncontrollable people who cannot stop eating. And because they think of themselves like that, they are actually doing it.
True.
They're eating past fullness. They're not paying attention to the people around them. They're actually not present in the time where they could be more present with people. But if you could do one thing only, don't deprive yourself of anything. You want the cake, you want the whatever, something else, eat it. Just ask yourself, do I have to be the person that needs to have 5 slices? Can I have 1? What will happen? And see what will happen. Because it will give you a little bit of confidence and boost for the new year that you can actually be the person who, can be calm around food and maybe not restrict, but also doesn't binge given, any food in front of them.
Yeah, so easy. And yeah, amazing. Yeah, thank you for this advice. Actually,
No problem.
it's so simple, but really, yeah, amazing. So, when would you say, this is the last question, from your perspective, the people that coming to you, what is the point where you say, okay, you should look for help, or you have a situation here, like maybe what's the point, and how, if people now feel like, okay, maybe I want to learn more what she's doing, I want to get in contact with her, like how is the best way to contact you?
So let me answer the first question.
Yeah.
I would say if you have been dieting, this is our topic today, dieting and binge eating or overeating, and you are honest with yourself with that cycle being a part of your life, without you be able, you're not able to get out of it. You are kind of figuring out, is it the week of dieting? Is it the week of binge eating? And, not exercising. You should understand that your relationship with food is strained. Okay? Like if you are in that cycle, that you're hardcore dieting and then binge eating, definitely you need to get help to get out of the cycle, to have a healthy relationship with food. I would say that's the first thing. The second thing is that if your body, your weight that you carry, like how you see yourself, if it creates a problem for you in your everyday life, meaning you don't want to go out, you don't want to socialize, you don't feel great in your skin, and because of that you're dieting again, that could be a second indicator. If you are obsessed around food, feeling out of control around food, obsessed around the scale, the number on the scale, those are all indicators that the relationship with food could do some improvements. But especially for what I do, if you feel that you are on off dieting plan, and that you cannot not be on a diet, but then you find yourself overeating and binging in secrecy when no one is around, when kids go to bed, like that scenario. So yeah, I would say in those cases. And for people who want to connect, even just to chat, they can find me. I think on Instagram is rather easy since we're on that platform. So Balance by Anna, 1N. And that's it. And then they can follow my work. There are links there for different videos that I post, or just ask questions. I'm happy to. It's the only platform actually where we can chat with people like easily, so they can shoot me a message, follow me, whatever. But yeah, I would say Balance by Anna on Instagram is the easiest way.
Thank you, Anna. I think what you're doing is such amazing work, and it's so opposite to everything that we hear out there so far. So I really, follow Anna for sure. If you feel like, okay, this is triggering something in me, or maybe I need help in this area, message Anna.
It's not bad. It's not bad to be triggered.
Okay.
It's not bad. I'm triggered daily by different people. Yes, no, it's okay. Yes. No, you can be triggered, but it means that you are realizing there is something to work on here. And that's perfectly fine. You just haven't, I always say to people, you just haven't found the right method yet. Yet is the key word. It's not like you are doomed or you're failing or there is no help for you. It's just like there is some component missing for you to solve the problem of dieting and binging and being in that whole cycle. So that's it. We will find it.
Yeah, you're right. you know. Yeah, perfect. Also, if you have any questions, you can, I'm gonna post the video, the live. I hope I don't mess it up now. And then you
Please
can
don't.
also ask questions. You can ask questions and we come back to you.
Yeah.
Yes, but thank you so much for,
Thank you for having me. It was a
yeah.
pleasure. It's your first episode.
It's the first episode.
I
Yeah.
am I'm very grateful that you
Yeah,
invited
my
me.
first guest. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you so much for having me. I had
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, me too. And it was so good to see you also.
Perfect.
Yeah. So, okay. Bye bye,
See
Anna.
you.
See
Bye.
you.